All right. Okay. So we just watched The Hobbit: The Unexpected Journey, or I would like to call it The Unexpected Coincidences, because there are a lot of coincidences in this movie. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later down the road. But I'm not a fan of these movies. I guess I've never really seen them all the way through. But what I have seen, they've never really piqued my interest. It just seems like a lot of people walking, getting stickers on their feet. So I mean, I've never really been interested in them. And
they're definitely getting stickers in their feet because the hobbits never wear any shoes.
Exactly. So I'm not a big fan. My co-host here,
Blake.
he likes these movies. He likes these movies much more than I do.
Yeah, they're definitely like, I don't know, any fantasy movie that kind of reminds me of like Dungeons and Dragons. I'll always look past all the faults that it has, and seeing this movie with adult eyes now, you can see there's a lot of faults with these movies.
But no, and I definitely had to drink about a good, good couple Red Bulls to get finished to this movie. No, I just had to drink one. But the movie starts, and it starts with I want to say it's the guy from the oh no, it doesn't start that. Oh yeah, it does start that way with the old guy, huh? And he's writing in his book or whatever.
Yeah, that's Bilbo. He's like he's trying to make a book for Frodo.
Yeah, and that's the same guy from Lord of the Rings in the very first one, huh?
It's like, okay, so in the Lord of the Rings, it's Frodo. And he's trying to take the ring to the mountain.
Yeah,
but it's his uncle that's doing he found the ring in the first place.
Yeah.
The 3 Hobbit movies, it's Bilbo. And then he hands the ring off to Frodo.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings. So
Bilbo is in Lord of the Rings though.
Yeah, he's like in the first movie, just like a little bit. Basically, he's there just to like hand the ring off.
Okay.
And then you see him a little bit more like in the last movie.
Well, I just want to make sure because yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I'm pretty sure I think Gandalf sees him in like one of the Lord of the Rings movies, doesn't he? He's like, "You haven't aged a day," and I'm just like, Gandalf. He does not look the same as he does in the other movie.
He definitely does look a lot older.
But no. I mean, like I said, so it starts off, Bilbo writing his book to Frodo or whatever. Little fan service, I guess you could do there. And then they switch back. They go to Martin Freeman's character, Bilbo. Meeting Gandalf, and like I said, it was a pretty good interaction. Pretty good seeing Gandalf again. Still being a little smart ass or whatever, but that was cool. And then he asked him, he's asked Bilbo, "Hey, you want to go on this adventure?"
So like they have this adventure where they it's a whole bunch of dwarves. And they had their kingdom taken away from them by a big dragon.
Yeah.
Everyone knows, the dragons really like gold. And it just so happens the dwarves were sitting on like the biggest pile of gold that has ever been mined in Middle Earth. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So they, so then we get that, and we get the whole, the dragon. He came, got the castle. They find the little glowy stone, the Arctic stone, Infinity Stone, whatever you want to call it. Some kind of stone makes you go crazy. Makes Oakenshield's dad go a little wild. We'll get to Oakenshield in a bit, but yeah. So that happens. Like I said, I like the. Then they go to Bilbo, Gandalf to meet each other. Bilbo tells him no or whatever, and then Gandalf does a little graffiti on his door or whatever, and writes a little thing on his door.
He makes like a little runic symbol, I guess. It tells all the other dwarves where to go.
Yeah, where to go. It gives them a light to shine. So then all of a sudden, these dwarves just start showing up. And if I'm being honest with you, if I was Bilbo, I would not be happy with Gandalf because they instantly walk in and tear his food up. I mean, my boy is having a nice fish meal, and the first one shows up, takes his plate instantly.
Unexpected visitors.
Oh no!
The first half of the movie
is honestly, and so then they walk in. They tear his food up, but not all. They're not just bad. They do the dishes. So
I mean, they did completely empty his pantry.
Exactly.
But whenever they left in the morning, they left it, I'd say, just as good as whenever they showed up.
Yeah, just as good when they found it. Then let's see. So then but yeah. So to that night, he's denying. He's not denying. Yeah, he's denying him. He's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do this.
He's kind of on the fence, but in the end, he's like, no, this is where I belong. I shouldn't leave this place.
Yeah.
I'm not set up for this kind of adventure.
And so he's like, he keeps telling Gandalf no. Gandalf apparently has a creepy little, I don't know if it's a spell, but he's got a creepy little shadow because, he raises his voice a little bit, changes his tone, stands a little tall, and the dwarfs just do not like it. They get instantly scared.
Yeah, all of them were kind of arguing amongst each other, like, yeah, Bilbo definitely can't be our thief. He can't be our burglar. He's not cut out for this.
Exactly.
And then Gandalf has to use his one of his many, I want to say manipulation tactics. I don't know. Strong arming everybody. He's like, so basically everyone, the dwarves don't have a say in this. Also Bilbo, you don't have a say in this. You're gonna be the thief.
You're gonna be the thief. So then they do that, and then so that's that night. They have one of 3 musical numbers here. It's whatever. I mean, I could definitely go without. I get it. You got to have your songs here and there. Like Middle Earth. It's pretty cool and stuff like that. So I guess you have to have your songs. I could care for it, but I mean, I don't mind it at all. It's not a big deal. So then we wake up to the next morning. Everyone's gone. Everyone's done, left. Cleaned up a little bit. And
Bilbo's kind of regretting,
Bilbo's kind of like, what? I don't like that nobody else is,
because Gandalf the night before had to, he had to do a little bit of shit talking.
Yeah.
Your granddad, he was so big he could ride a horse.
Yeah, and
he was the one that invented golf. What do you do?
I invented golf. Yeah, exactly. I also forgot about that. Invented golf. The hobbits. And then so Bilbo wakes up. He's like, I don't really like that nobody's, tearing up my painting anymore. So let me go find these guys real fast. So of course he signs it or whatever, and then he tracks him down pretty fucking fast. I'm being honest with you. I mean, I guess the trail they were it was just a straight line. There's no cutoffs, no splits.
This is the first of many coincidences. he leaves his house and just starts walking, and just so happens to find them.
Exactly. This is where it starts, and then so he finds them. He signs a little contract they offered him the night before. Tells him he signed it. Then he gives it to the old dwarf. The dwarf also has to pull out a little spyglass kind of thing to read to make sure he signed it. But I mean, you can definitely tell he signed it because it's there. But
he had to make sure it was Bilbo's signature.
Bilbo's signature.
It's not enough for him to just tag along.
So he does that, and they're like, "All right, good, you can come on, whatever." And so I'm just like, if that guy's bad, if that dwarf's eyesight is that bad, why is he on a pony? Why do not let this guy get on a pony? But anyway, so they do that, and then we switch to, I think, a little, I don't know, underwhelming. I don't really. So
like the wizards in Lord of the Rings are kind of known to be underwhelming.
Okay,
Radagast is the most underwhelming.
He's definitely the most underwhelming and the most kind of disgusting to look at because the bird shit and the little bird poop or whatever. His character didn't really bring nothing to the. I mean, I don't know. I guess he was there for more like set up for like the whole Sauron Mirkwood type of aspect. I guess because you said that was in the Lord of the Rings. Was that kind of woods place?
I'm pretty sure it's the same woods.
Okay.
Like it's setting up that evil beings are they're going from this evil castle. They're reaching out. They're taking over the woods, and they're kind of just corrupting everything. You can see that, by the way. Little Sonic gets a little cough.
Yeah, gets a little. Sonic goes down. Sonic goes down in this movie. Sebastian dies. But then
that's his government.
But then Radagast saves him. Takes a little. I forget what he put. He takes a little something.
It's like the crystal from his staff. Oh, so like all the wizards got like a staff and they got a crystal in it. He takes it out. Puts it in Sonic's mouth.
It puts it in Sonic's mouth, and then saves him. He's got a bunch of spiders crawling around it. I think he's living in a tree, and the spiders are crawling around this tree. Then they just leave after he takes the stuff out of Sebastian. Sonic, my bad. And then
he like goes off. He's like, I gotta tell Gandalf.
I gotta find
Something's
Gandalf.
going wrong.
And so then we cut back to the gang, to the dwarfs. At this point, I think Oakenshield and Gandalf got in a little argument because Oakenshield still has beef with the elves because in the opening the elves did not help. I guess whatever.
So like the dragon shows up, the dragon's burning everything down. The elves' entire army, for whatever reason, is just already mobilized.
Yeah.
They show up on the hill, they make sure they're seen, and then they say, "Nah, we're just gonna turn around."
No, we're not gonna help you.
Make sure you know we're here and we could help, but we're not gonna help.
So he's Oakenshield still got a little beef with the elves. So he don't trust them, and so Gandalf's like, "But don't put your pride or whatever," something like that. And so then Gandalf goes off on his own little thing. He's gonna go find something. Doesn't tell.
Gandalf wants to camp in Rivendell. Is it?
I think it is Rivendell.
The big elven castle.
Yeah, the big elven castle. But Oakenshield does not. He is not. I'm not gonna go there. So he's just like, we're gonna stay right here in this little broken down area or whatever. And so Gandalf leaves. Oakenshield and the crew stay there. And this is where we get the I guess the backstory of how badass Oakenshield is, because he fights the Pale. This is where him and the Pale Orc get into it right here.
So like he's trying to. They hear about a mountain city that's been taken over by the orcs, and I guess the orcs are led by this one super big white the pretty boy orc.
The pretty boy orc. And
he's I don't know if he's leading the army. I don't remember if he's leading the army or if he's just part of it. I think he's just part of it.
I don't remember.
And
but
he's fighting in the this fight, trying to retake this castle, and then his dad gets killed by this giant orc. So now that starts the beef.
And honestly, I feel bad for the dude's dad, because Oakenshield's dad, because who thought it was okay to let this old man go against this humongous Pale Orc by himself?
Honestly, there's no royal guard. There's
honestly, and so
every dwarf in that fight was just kind of off on their own.
Yeah, exactly. But the old dwarf is telling the story. I'm just thinking to myself, you were in battle. How are you seeing what he is doing right there? Because he's like,
especially with a history of bad eyesight.
Exactly. He put out a spyglass, and so he goes and
so like Oakenshield, he's fighting this big orc. The orc with his big mace hits his metal shield out of his hand, and this old dwarf that's telling the story sees this happen. He sees this orc knock the shield out of his hand, and what does he do? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
He's like, man, this will make a badass story if Oakenshield lives through this.
If he's able to get out of this, I'll tell the tale. And so
he after getting knocked onto the ground, he finds the nearest thing he can defend himself with, a piece of oak.
It was bringing us to Oakenshield, and so he grabs the oak, blocks the swing with the oak shield, and then cuts his arm off, and then proceeds to carry the oak shield into more of the battle, and
all the mini shields that's on the ground.
Yeah,
he's had to have stepped on one and then said, "No, this is my good luck charm."
I like how the oak is working for me.
Doesn't protect my neck or anything.
But before that, he had to get 2 oak shields, because I'm pretty. Doesn't he break the first one and he got to get another one?
Well, he might have just repaired it.
Oh, repaired it.
Because later on in the movie,
but I mean, not in the same fight though. Because
definitely not.
I think he breaks one the first time, then I think he grabs another one. So he had 2 oak shields right there. I'm like, just pick up another one.
He's a fan of
he's a fan of the oak. He's like, why are we not using these? And and then he supposedly they die. Supposedly to Oakenshield, the Pale Orc, the prodigal son, he's died by infection of the arm getting cut off.
Yeah, he cuts his arm off, and then his orc buddies are like, "No, we got to retreat." They pull him off into some other broken down castle, because there's 1,000 broken down castles in Middle Earth. And
so that's the cool backstory we get for Oakenshield. So now we know he's a badass. Everyone's gonna follow him. That's why the dwarfs are so loyal to him. Then we cut to let's see, what did we cut to next?
So this is a point where the Frodo's going off. He's trying to hand supper out to everyone, and he goes to the 2 youngest brother dwarves. And the 2 youngest brother dwarves are supposed to be looking after the ponies.
Yes,
but
yes.
it seems something's taking the ponies.
And so yes. Oh, the troll scene. The troll scene. Not really important. I mean, nothing really happens. They just kind of just another inconvenience for them. I don't really care for the troll scene. Gandalf just kind of shows up after all the fighting has gone. After all the the hard stuff is in the way. So it's just kind of like.
So going back to like whenever they're trying to decide where to stay, Gandalf pulls Oakenshield aside. And he's like, I don't think we should be staying here. I knew a farmer that lived in this broken down house. I don't think, and he's not here anymore, so I don't think we should be staying here. We should definitely go see the elves. They'll give us protection. And Oakenshield's like, no, we gotta stay here. But that's kind of bad on Gandalf, because if he knew that there was something wrong there, why didn't he go out and scout? Why didn't he go, walk 10 feet?
Exactly.
in a radius around, because these trolls are not that far away. They're building a fire, a stone's throw away from their fire.
In his defense though, I don't want to make defense for this movie because I don't like it. But in his defense, he did leave during the daytime, and I don't think the trolls can go out during the daytime, huh?
I guess they only would have come out at night.
Yeah, they would have come out at nighttime. So I guess that's the only that's probably the only reason he didn't really see him or whatever. But other than that, like I said, troll scene, it was just more of an inconvenience, and it just kind of and then Gandalf just shows up when he needs to, and
at the exact right time.
And breaks the rock. The sun freezes them or whatever. It's really just a callback to, I guess, Lord of the Rings. You said, because there's the troll thing in Lord of the Rings.
They show up. I think they show up to the same place where the trolls have turned to stone, and then they're like, "Oh, it's 3 troll statues," but in actuality, it was the 3 trolls turned to stone from getting exposed to the sun.
But I can go on that troll scene forever. So much in that troll scene just doesn't make any sense. But no, it's not that important. So then after that, we go. They get their ponies back. They go. Oh no. The cave. That's what it was. They go down to this cave, and this is with another coincidence. All 3 of these most powerful swords they find are all in this one cave. 3 of them, not 1, not 2. But 3, and I'm just like
3 legendary enchanted swords.
Yes, and so I'm like
1 troll cave.
So okay, I'll go with it. Makes the movie go, and so and then they come out. Radagast comes back. He's found Gandalf. I'm guessing he's talking to the animals, or he's like, "Tell me where Gandalf is." He finds Gandalf. Orcs show up. In the troll scene, the whole point of the scene was to get the ponies back. I want to say it's been 10-15 minutes from that scene. All the ponies have left because the orcs scared them off.
Yeah, the orcs show up, and it kind of seems like they can never get a good night's rest in this movie, because every time they go to sit down for a moment, something shows up.
Exactly, and so the ponies have gone. So the whole troll scene was saving the ponies was kind of forfeit, but all right, whatever. But so then they have this, Radagast's like, I'm going to distract him. Worst distractor I've ever seen. He just constantly in front, like everywhere the dwarves and Gandalf are running to, he's running in front of them, so the orcs are seeing. I'm like,
he constantly has to so the dwarves and Gandalf are just trying to run. They're trying to run away from the orcs. But what does Radagast do? He has to circle around and make it to where the orcs have to cross in front of their path, like 2 or 3 times.
Exactly, and so that was that. And I'm like, all these orcs have to do is just look to your left or right, and you're gonna see him. Here and behold, the one orc that stops, looks, and he doesn't see him, but he hears him. He hears him behind a rock, and he goes over there and he goes to the rock. They don't kill him very quietly. They kill him pretty loudly. And
no, they use all their blunt weapons to hit him, so that he's screaming in agony while they're trying to murder him.
And so that happens, and then Gandalf, he goes and he finds he sees like this little rock thing while they're getting surrounded by the orcs, because the orcs have found him now. And
Radagast has failed at his job.
Radagast is just gone now. He's just left. He doesn't come back ever. He just Radagast. Oh, what a character! Just disgusting to look at. Then he goes, and then then Gandalf sees this rock. He's like, "Come over here, you fools!" And first of all, I'm like, Gandalf, don't call me a fool. Like, I didn't know where this leads to.
It seems like Gandalf resorts to
calling names, just
belittling people whenever he's stressed out.
And so
he does not handle pressure very well.
So he calls. He's like, "Fools over here!" So they go. They jump down this cave or whatever this it is. Then we lead. That leads us to the Elven Kingdom.
So here again, another not really coincidence, but it's another Gandalf. He has to get his way all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
He discussed with Oakenshield how they are not going to go see the Elven Kingdom because he wants to do what the dwarves want to do, but he finds a way to get them to the Elven Kingdom.
So he does that. They get to the Elven Kingdom. Not much really happens in the Elven Kingdom. They kind of just need to come here to show the elves the map so they can read it. You would think Gandalf, being as old as he is, would be able to read it. The dwarves reading old dwarves, like what is it called? Ancient.
Yeah, it's like an ancient dwarven dialect or something.
Yeah, dialect.
You'd think. So I'm under the impression that Gandalf is like thousands of years old. So
yeah.
You'd think he would have been around somebody to teach him this language. And who do they go to for learning this ancient dwarvish language? The elves.
The elves. So the elves, and so of course it's got to be the elves. So yeah, like I said, they go. Another coincidence. On the map, you have to shine the map in the moon, but the moon they needed, and so
it has to be a specific place. This crystal table has to be a specific time of the day where the moon's shining on it. And it has to be the same day as it was
200 years ago. And so, of course, but then he's like, wow, it's a good thing y'all came here. Real
what a
convenient.
Coincidence.
Yeah, so to do that. And then Gandalf talks to, some people from the Lord of the Rings. I don't really know. I don't remember their names. With the lady... Galadriel. And then Christopher Lee. That's the actor's name. I don't know the name of
the Elven King.
No,
or Saruman.
Saruman, yeah, him. He's in it. It's good to see him back. But yeah, it's just nothing really happened in that scene. They just kind of show him the evil sword. Gandalf and Lady, what is her? Galadriel. God. They have a little telepathic moment.
Yeah, they're talking to each other. Saruman's trying to. He's doing a dick pulling competition. He's like, I'm the leader of the wizards, and I don't think this is a good idea going on this quest. I didn't allow this quest to happen. The whole time Gandalf's talking to Galadriel, he's not paying a single bit of attention to Saruman. They're just talking to each other. He's probably thinking in his head, this dummy over here, he's saying all this stuff. He can't hear anything we're saying to each other. We're gonna do what we want because I'm Gandalf. I do what I want all the time.
Exactly. And so I was like, my boy Christopher Lee can't hear a word they're saying. He's the white and can't hear a word he's saying because he's too busy talking to the elf. He's the most
powerful wizard.
Yeah,
Why would he be able to?
And he's talking to the elf or whatever. So yeah. And so the dwarfs leave. So that was pretty much the Elven Kingdom. They just needed something. They just needed to read the map for him. Let's see what else happens. Oh, and then after that, I'm not really gonna get too big into the mountains. Just a bunch. It was more of a clusterfuck kind of scene for me. Could have gone without it. Just a bunch of rock people fighting each other.
Always crazy shit going on.
Yeah. And so, but after that, then they take a refugee in a cave or whatever from a rock that might be alive. Who knows? I don't really know that.
They decided to sleep on one of the mountains after seeing 3 mountains come alive.
Exactly. And so they take refugee there. Then they sink into the hole, which leads...
Still another... They couldn't get a good night's rest.
Exactly.
Because they didn't sleep at the camp. They didn't sleep in the Elven Kingdom. They didn't sleep in the mountain for too long.
Yeah. And so... So they fall down this little hole, little thing or whatever. They all should be dead. All of them should die. But
5 stories straight down, hitting their neck
and
their legs and ankles
on rock and everything. But no, they're perfectly fine. I guess that those dwarven skin and bone is just fucking.
They're stocky.
They're stocky, just made out of adamantium.
Mithril. They call that mithril.
Oh, mithril. There you go. But yeah, so they get captured by the goblins. The goblins, they just don't really do much. They just kind of kidnap. The whole purpose of the goblins, really is just to tell Oakenshield that the pale orc is still alive, and they cut to, and then when he's telling them that, they cut to the pale orc, on his little castle thing or whatever. But the thing about it is they show him like his back is turned to the screen. Like we don't know who that is. There's only been one pale orc this entire time.
He's taller than all the other orcs,
and he's missing an arm. He's got a hook as an arm. And so if I'm like, people are like, oh, I wonder who this orc is. This is a different kind of looking orc. And I'm just like, this is the only pale orc we've seen the entire movie. And then he turns around and the music's like, dun dun dun. I'm like, oh, it's him. Okay.
That's the pale orc. He's still alive.
But yeah. So I mean, that was pretty much the whole point of the goblin. Bilbo he presses circle, crouches to get away from the goblins. It works.
All the dwarves get corralled together by the goblins. They start pushing them along. They want to take them to the king. And Bilbo has the best idea ever. He just crouches.
He just crouches.
They just stop caring about him.
And one of the other dwarves sees this and he's like, I'm not going to do that, but good for you, Bilbo. So Bilbo gets in a fight with one of the goblins that got left behind or just hanging around. He falls again. I'm like, okay, Bilbo, you should die, but, plot armor. And then he finds, this is where fan service, this is where we find a Gollum. He's hiding down there. He takes one of the orcs, starts beating them or whatever, starts eating them. Then they play little riddle games. Didn't really...
In between that, Gollum drops the one ring.
Oh, the ring. What a cash grab for the ring. I'm showing the ring here. Wow.
In the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. But,
Bilbo pockets the ring, and then he starts playing these riddle games with Gollum because he needs him to show him the way out.
Yeah.
He can't find it on his own.
Yeah, exactly. And
even though he ends up finding it
on his own. And so that happens. He plays little riddle games with Gollum. The scene was fine or whatever. I mean, I didn't. At this point, I just wanted the movie to be over, if I'm being honest. But so then Bilbo uses the ring. He's invisible now. The dwarfs and Gandalf. The dwarfs are getting surrounded by the goblins. They're about to die. Who can show up when he needs to show up? Gandalf. Gandalf shows up. Does his little 1 or 3 spells he has. Knocks the goblins down.
Probably his most powerful spell, but still underwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. And
he
so
just blasts everybody down, knocks everybody down. They have a moment to regroup, grab their weapons,
and they just run away. They go on this big old run thing or whatever. Big action scene. Could care less about it. And then, like I said, then they find the exit. And then Bilbo sees him, kicks Gollum in the face. He's about to kill him. He's like, I can't kill you because you're giving me puppy dog eyes, but I will kick you in the face. I will give you a good old Bruce Lee kick to the face. Kicks him in the face, and then they start running down the hill. Oakenshield sneak disses Bilbo once again.
Once they leave the mountain, Oakenshield's doing his regular shit talk of Bilbo.
Exactly.
And Bilbo, he has the ring on, and the ring makes him invisible. And he hears Oakenshield talking shit. So he waits till the whole speech is done. He could have interrupted him at any time, but he's like, I want this to have maximum effect of making him feel like a big dummy.
Yeah. And then Bilbo takes the ring off. He's like, no, Thorin, I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Oh my... Oakenshield. He's like, Oakenshield, I'm still here. And he's just like, oh, you did it again. And he's just like,
every single time I put doubt in you. You always prove me wrong in front of all my boys.
And so then, and then here come the orcs. And I'm just curious about where the orcs were, because they show the orcs in a different bunch of spots, and then they just kind of just show up. And I know they got the dogs. They could smell. I get it. They scent, I guess. But they just show up, and I'm just like, oh wow. What a coincidence. And I'm just like, they just show up.
Another coincidence.
And so they show up. They have this cool, and the dogs run in or whatever. They hop
another chase scene because they really cannot just catch their breath.
Honestly. And so
they chase them up. They chase them into the trees.
And Thorn's just doing, not Thorn. The pale orc's talking shit to Oakenshield. He's like, your father reeked of fear. And then he tells his dogs to jump up the trees. And but he also tells his orc buddies, he's mine. Oakenshield is mine. I want him. 5 minutes later, the tree that they're all on falls over, and
it starts like hanging over.
Yeah,
it doesn't completely fall over.
Yeah, it's like hanging on the side of the cliff, and Oakenshield gets up and he's just like, all right, let's I'm gonna take all of you on. Instantly runs in there, and then the pale orc's
gets
dog
his ass handed.
Yeah, it just hits him. He's just like, And then
the wolf bites him, doesn't even get close to hitting the pale orc.
Yeah, exactly. And then he tells one of his orc buddies, he's like, "Hey, go cut his head off for me." I'm like, "But you just told him you wanted him. Like, what are you doing?" And he cut your arm off, so you would think that you would want to be the one to cut his head off. But no, he cut your arm off. You don't want to cut his head off. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But so then that happens. I forgot to mention, Gandalf does have another spell, able to light pine cones on fire. So that
he has the spark spell.
The spark spell,
not a fireball, not a firebolt or anything. He can shoot sparks from his staff.
But yeah, so then after that, then everyone's like, all right. Oh, Bilbo shows up. He stabs the orc that's about to cut off Oakenshield's head. Stabs him, and then all the orcs show up. Less orcs that were there before when Bilbo kills that one orc.
Yeah, it's like there's a whole bunch of wargs, and then the next scene there's only like 4. There's only 4 orcs, 4 wargs.
Yeah.
And then later on again, whenever the eagles finally show up, there's a surprisingly large amount of wargs. So.
But yeah, so then that happened, and so then the eagles show up because Gandalf earlier was kissing the butterfly.
Another reason Radagast is completely useless,
honestly,
because he's supposed to be the one that talks to like the animals and stuff, but
Gandalf can also do. I guess Gandalf picked up a few tricks here and there.
He might have learned it from Radagast.
And so the eagles show
up.
up.
Did not learn Dwarven though.
Did not learn the Dwarven, but the eagles show up to kill all the orcs except for maybe 4 or 5 of them, including the pale orc. I don't know why you just don't go for the big one, but
yeah, the eagles picking up every single warg, every single orc. Except for the pale one.
Exactly. And so they do that. They make their great escape from the orc. The orc does this little scream, "I'll get you. I'm going to get you, Oakenshield." And then, of course, the movie's old, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people have mentioned this, but eagles don't take them all the way there. They drop them off less than halfway because they're still far away. They're still pretty good distance from it.
And they drop them off on top of a hill.
On top of another perch or whatever. So it's just like exert more energy to get down. We can never get any rest, and so they got to get down. And then we go to a bird going to the secret cave. What a coincidence that the bird flies to the secret entrance of the cave.
It's like a little small bird, and they're flying towards the mountain, and they're like, "Oh, that's a good omen." Maybe the dragon has moved on. Maybe he's gotten bored with the most gold in the entirety of the kingdom.
And so that happens, and then it ends with Smaug's eye knowing that the dragon is still there. And that's the Hobbit, the first one, Unexpected Journey. Didn't really blow my mind.
If you had to give it a number rating, what would you give it?
I'll give it a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10.
I'll give, I don't know, I'm sort of biased for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah.
But in actual, I don't know, from a film perspective, I'd probably give it maybe 6 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10.
Exactly. I mean, like I said,
The visuals are really nice.
The movie is not...
They got some good actors in it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does their part. The movie... I tell you what, I want to take a trip to New Zealand, because damn did they make New Zealand look good in this movie.
All the drone shots.
Yeah.
And everything.
But other than that, I mean, like I said, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not... I'm not saying it's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's definitely seen worse. But, yeah, it just kind of remind me of why I didn't want to watch these movies, because, man, where is it dragging? But hopefully the second one, and then maybe the third one, and then when we get to the Lord of the Rings, maybe I'll like a little bit more of them.
It'll be a lot less exposition.
Yeah. But for that, so that was The Hobbit, The Unexpected Journey. So
the unexpected coincidence. All right.